Hello everyone and welcome back to Factory Town and to our fleet of wagons there. Now, since the last episode, I received quite a few comments pointing me towards a slight mistake in the last episode, and that is, I never actually activated fertilizing for the fields here, so let me do that. There we go. We now have all of these fields being fertilized, and you can see the difference there in how the fields look, and also how very, very quickly they grow when they're both watered and fertilized. That's actually very, very nice. Now, one of the first things we want to do in this episode, in an effort to continue to move our kind of industrial production a little bit further away from Old Town and to expand it, we're going to try and expand the land that we control. Now, each one of the options that we have available to us has various downsides. Over here is not too bad. It's quite flat. It's got a little bit of mountainous terrain and some water. Over here there's quite a lot more water, but it's very, very flat otherwise. But I noticed there's a lot of berries and other foodstuffs right up against this border, so that's almost certainly going to continue into there and eat up a bit of the room. Over here we've got quite a lot of flatness, but also a lot of mountain. Down on this side, quite a lot of water, somewhat flat otherwise though. But since we've already got our stone industry in this direction, let's see what happens when we purchase this land. I think this will probably be one of the better ones. There we go. We've got a little bit of trees, we've got some stone, we've got some iron, a tiny bit of coal. That's not great, but it's also not bad. We've got some pear trees actually, and a fair bit of mana stones as well. All right, I think we can work with this. It's going to be a little bit cramped, but it shouldn't be over difficult for us to manage. Now, one of the first things that we really want to do is we want to get together the production of cloth conveyor belts. Now, that's going to require cloth, wooden wheels, stone bricks. So we need a farm to grow the cloth. We're going to need some foresters to produce the wood and then the wooden wheels. And we're also going to need some mining and stonemasonry to produce the bricks. Now, our current setup here can just be relocated. In fact, most of the things can be relocated. The only thing that's going to have to be set up brand new is the cloth. Let's have a look. We've got this little area over here that I think we can probably settle something down in. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove these resources here. We're also going to use page up to increase the size of our brush. There we go. That makes it a lot easier to do. Right, next then, we are going to want a farm first and indeed foremost. Sure, we'll have this farm outputting in this direction. We don't really need to put it anywhere in particular though. I guess if we popped it over here by the water's edge, we would facilitate gathering water ourselves, which might be worth doing. We'll consider it. I would have to get rid of more resources, and I dislike doing it, but honestly, in this game, the resources, certainly things like grain and the likes, they're functionally infinite, so you're not really missing out on too much by doing that. Even the trees, now that we have foresters, but we don't yet have the means to build planters, so I'm going to try and avoid moving any trees around if I don't need to. Right, this will be connected to 119 tiles. I think that'll be more than sufficient, and I would like you very much... Oh, we don't actually have any workers. Ah, drat, damn and blast. Alright, well, we probably don't need quite as many workers moving around the stones here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete 2 of you and delete 2 of you, send you back to your homes so I can relocate you over here, and that should be fine. There we are, 1 worker. There we go. Now, I would like you very much to gather cotton. There we go. We'll set that one up. We'll make 1 cotton every 2 seconds. That is fine. We're obviously going to have to plop down some farm tiles as well. There we go. But this place is going to be able to gather water directly from the lake there. We'll be able to gather 1 per second. We are going to use 1 every 2 seconds, so this is fine for now. Right, we want to place down some cotton plants. How much are they going to cost us? 20 each. Yikes. Oh, well, you know, it's not like we don't have a lot of money, so it should be more or less okay. Now, moving the cotton out of the farm, fairly certain cotton isn't going to roll down a chute. That being said, though, very easy way of testing. Do that. Oh, well, that's interesting. Now, if we had placed that and it couldn't move it, for example, let me just pick something I know can't move down a chute. Sugar. That will happen. Because something that this building's going to produce is not able to exit from the building through the front door, which is the default exit for all buildings. Later on, you can make it so that you can just pull it out of the building in any which way, but that is very interesting. I wasn't expecting to be able to shoot the cotton, but that is actually going to make things significantly easier for us. All right, the next thing we're going to need is a workshop. Now we'll go ahead and we'll set this one up right there. There we go. And tell you to make us some cloth. There we are. Now, we could make the cloth out of wool if we particularly wanted to, and we would improve the value of the wool just a bit. We'd increase it by 1 red coin rather than it being worth 2. But for now, I don't think that's strictly necessary. The cotton, we can't even sell as is. So cloth makes it possible to sell it. Now, I'm fairly certain we can't. Yeah, there we are. We can't shoot the cloth itself. We can't roll bolts of cloth down the chute. More's the pity, really. Though, out of curiosity, that takes 4 seconds. Actually, that's not too bad. That's pretty much exactly the speed that we're going to need it delivered. So that's taking care of the cloth demand. Now, cloth happens to be an item that we are going to need to upgrade our base, and later on, upgrade our homes as well, if we so choose. So given that, I'm going to go ahead and build a barn. We're going to have that barn right next to the current workshop that's producing the cotton, and I think we'll grab a wagon to take care of that. There we go. Pop. And we'll just move that along. This will allow us to continue to produce cloth for as long as we can. I don't believe there's ever any reason for you to stockpile the cotton itself. I don't think there's anything that's going to make use of it. You can't build anything with cotton, as far as I recall. I think anything that you can use as a building resource is generally shown up here. So anything up here we may actively need to build something in the world. But everything else is more of an ingredient that's used in something else. So there we are. We're producing the cotton, and that's a big part of what we need. We can now upgrade the base. And so let's go ahead and do that. It's going to cost us 50 red coins and upgrade the base. We get 4 more houses. A new building has been unlocked, the kitchen. A new building unlocked, Gourmet Foods. And new research is available, metallurgy. And that is the one that we've been waiting for. Let's get straight to the metallurgy. Now, Gourmet Foods, from what I recall, will require... let me just place... Well, actually, we don't need to place that down specifically. I believe if we bring up... There is a key somewhere. There we go. Oh, perfect. Right, Gourmet Foods. Magic. Mana bricks give us purple coins. What do Gourmet Foods give us? We can sell bandages in the apothecary for blue coins. Let's keep going down. Probably... there we are. Gourmet Foods. We don't have... Oh, well, the berry cake. The berry cake will give us purple coins. But what we really need are the blue coins. They're the ones that we need to go for. So ultimately, we're going to need to get up to an apothecary as quickly as we can, really. Okay, so we now have, or will soon have, the ability to perform smelting and actually start stockpiling metal and metal goods. But we ultimately want to have the ability to automate the delivery of objects, especially between 2 very, very close buildings over here. One cloth conveyor belt would do the work of this wagon, which would free up a population who could then work in one of our workshops. So that is definitely something we want to work towards. Now, with that in mind, we are going to need to relocate. I think it's going to cost, well, 1.5k. Might expand out here just to have a little bit of use of that land there. There we go. It didn't really give us as much as I'd hoped. I was hoping for a lot more forests, but well, that's the way it goes sometimes. You don't always get what you're hoping for, and that's probably one of the biggest consumer of gold coins is the gradual expansion out of your base. Is there any other interesting things here? I mean, there's lots of mana rocks, but nothing particularly useful. I really was hoping that this would be a little bit more fleshed out with resources, but we're just going to have to accept what we've got there. Right then, with that in mind, I think we'll start moving some of our forestry industry over here. Now, for the time being, the main thing I'm going to want is wooden wheels. So let's just focus on those for the time being. Now, if I place this here, we'll grab the entirety of the forest here, which I'm completely okay with. So I'll pop that right there. There we go. Now, to get wooden wheels, we are going to need to just double check. I believe it is planks that we're going to need for that one. Yes, 2 planks. Okay, so we're going to need a lumber mill, a workshop, and then we can actually just straight up move the barn over here for that one. We can happily have them offload into the barn, so we can just move this whole industry over with us. I think that would probably be one of the better ways of doing that. There we go. So I'll just pop this one right about here. There we are. Now, with that in mind, let me go ahead and rotate. Let me just come off the move tool. Rotate this like so that it can just shoot straight into the lumber mill. There we are. That's perfect. And then we're going to want our workshop, and that one can sit right there. And then finally, the barn of wagon wheels. Just pop that one just down there. Perfect. Now, behind these buildings, eventually we'll use cloth conveyor belts to automate the movement of resources between one and t'other. But this is one large block of items that all are relevant. The wood goes straight into the lumber mill, makes planks, makes wheels, and gets stored as wheels. Ultimately, they're all going to go into a new workshop, and that workshop will make the cloth conveyor belts. There we are. We need just stone bricks. Okay, that seems easy enough for us to set up. Right now, you're moving the wheels between, or rather the logs between the lumber mill and the workshop. Let me get you around the front. In fact, let me go ahead, place down some roads as well. Let's use the stone roads so that the wagons can move quickly. In fact, let's go ahead and make this a little bit prettier if we can. There we are. And there. I like that quite a lot. And it also makes the wagons, because they're so much faster on stone versus wooden paths. In fact, they don't get any speed upgrade on wooden paths, that they will go out of their way to move out into position and move along that, which I find quite pleasing to the eye. Let me just double thick that road there. There we are. That looks quite nice. The only thing I don't like about it is the little connecting point in the corners. I wish that wasn't there when you had a double thick road and that it became just one large cobbled street. Perhaps in a future update we'll see something along those lines, and that would actually be quite awesome. Right, we want to move the planks to the workshop. We then want to move... Ooh, do we not have any wagons that we're responsible for moving? Oh, no, we don't. Okay, well, this wagon come down here then. Let's get you over there. And I'll have you moving the wagon wheels into the barn. And I think that will be perfect for us. Now, our peeps are having a little bit of trouble moving all of the wood down there. Honestly, at this stage, let's go ahead and move this lumber mill. Let's have this take a new spot over here. And we're going to grab these peeps as they deliver the wood. You've done a fantastic job. Well done, all of you. I'm very proud. Exceedingly proud, in fact. Could you offload the logs there? No. You don't need to go anywhere. Come back. There we are. There we go. Right, nothing in there. We can delete that building completely, get all of the resource back, send these workers back to their homes. They are not needed here for the time being. And same with this wagon, I think. Let's move you down there. Same with you. There we go. Perfect. Now, we have the lumber mill. Let's just go ahead and set up a quick well, and then we can deliver the liquids direct. I wonder if I put that there. Does that get sent any water? No, it does not, but that's fine. We don't mind that one too much. Let's grab the fluid pipe, head into the fluid overlay, and there we go. Done and done. There we are. So the lumber mill will continue to produce paper as necessary, and that can be delivered directly to the school. That's made things a little bit easier for us, I think. Right, so back over here, I would like you to be responsible for taking wagon wheels out and moving them over to the barn. Now, you're obviously going to have to go onto the wooden walkway there, unfortunately, but oh well, 'tis a thing. Now, the next stage in our plan, as mentioned, is to get the stone and to deliver that. Now, I'm thinking for this one, we're going to want this road to deviate a little bit. We'll have it branching out in this direction, like so. And we're going to continue along with the kind of pattern of having the stone road kind of flanked with wood on the sides. I don't know why I find that so nice to look at. It's not like it's a pavement or anything like that. I just like the idea of the kind of like the thoroughfare, the quick moving traffic to be moving down the middle and to be visually distinct from the kind of meandering traffic along the sides, the verges, if you like. Right, I think we at this point need to move the stone mason over here. So let's go ahead and remove these resources just by there. We're not going to get rid of the iron for obvious reasons. That's an extremely valuable resource that we can't easily afford to just throw away. Let's go ahead and flatten some of this terrain down as well. We are going to want about, yeah, let's say 4 tiles in total for this to be moved around to. Now, I would very much like the mason to hop over here. I'll have the mason set up just about, let's say, there. And then the barn of stones, well, we're moving the entire industry over here. Now, that does mean that this is kind of surplus to demand. I would like that to be over here as well, if I can. Let's go ahead and set this one up. No, actually, this gives me an opportunity to demonstrate some of the advances with our logistics blocks. Right, you guys, you've done a fantastic job. Let's get you over here. There we are. Now, previously, I had to set up my chutes kind of working from the end backwards because of the way that the any item on the chute will prefer to take a direct path over taking a corner. Well, that's no longer the case, or rather, it doesn't have to be the case anymore. Now, what I am going to need is for all of these wagons to move elsewhere for the time being. In fact, I'm just going to say, go ahead and drop this off in the barn for now. Let's get down there for the time being. This barn is already quite expansive, and we're not going to be able to easily upgrade that for now. So we'll focus on that in a little while. But what we want down here is for this to come along. There we go. I'd like you to be on this side. And we are going to upgrade these roads. There, there, and there. There we are. Quite nice. And you can just return to moving the full bricks into the barn. Now, as I said, previously we've had to have the destination for the raw resource be the last in the queue to ensure that it went in there first. So it prioritized storing that resource before it started using it for other things. So we're basically making use of the runoff, the overflow. But if we use a logistics block and a pusher, I've now given a priority order to move items in this direction. Now, it's not going to be as easy to demonstrate that without throwing away a bunch of rock. But trust me that when these rocks are moving past this block, if it was possible for them to go into the barn, they would prefer that direction now rather than moving on into the stonemason and then eventually into bricks. And that is fine for us for now. Can I get... This is a little bit troubling, but we'll just go ahead and we'll delete all of that. There we are. Okay, so we've got stone bricks being produced. The final part of our puzzle is, of course, the workshop that is going to make our cloth conveyors. And we're also going to need a barn to store those cloth conveyors. So let's grab you. We could have this directed there, but I'd actually prefer it to be somewhere more centralized, I think. And then a barn to go with. And we'll place this one right there. There we go. And we can hook these two up like so. And then this, we'll just cap this little road off there. Eventually, we'll do something else with that. And we'll do something very different over here, since this one is probably going to connect up to the roads in that direction. We're going to run that along with some wooden borders for a certain amount of way, and then we'll connect that up a bit later, so that if we want wagons moving from the main from Old Town over here, then we can do that. Right, so for the workshop we're going to need cloth conveyor belts, which means we need a little bit of everything that we are storing over here. So that means we're going to need 4 new wagons. So let's go ahead and grab those. 1, 2, 3, and indeed 4. I would like cloth to be delivered from the barn. Actually, no, I would like cloth to be delivered from the workshop so that the barn is kept full. Then I would like wagon wheels from the workshop. I would like bricks from the stonemason. Now we're only going to get it, well, they'll kind of compete for a little while as bricks fill up in this, and once that is completely full with bricks, then this one will get priority access to it. And finally, we want the cloth conveyors delivered to the barn. Now, as soon as that happens once, we're going to be able to get rid of a lot of the wagons here. We just needed them stored somewhere. Now, in terms of the amount of cloth conveyors we have, we can easily have a look at that in here. In fact, I should set this to prioritize only cloth conveyors. There we go. Make sure that's the case with everything else. Yes, it is. That is fantastic. Okay, so we've got a lot of wagons trying to get into this one location. That is a little bit troublesome, but we'll start from the back and move forward. So first and foremost, shunt that over a little bit. You can move back here. There we go. 1 cloth conveyor right there. There we are. Now, the only thing being produced by this workshop is cloth conveyors, so we can use a grabber block with impunity, knowing that only cloth is going to be moved out of there. But we will set it up to grab cloth specifically. I really can't stress enough how important it is to know what your logistics network is going to do at any particular time. Don't just count on it doing the right thing because you want it to, because often it won't. That's the reality that we're faced with. Right, the next thing. Now, I could, of course, have an intermediary position, but we're going to need silos for that. And what I mean by that is that it would be nice to have the barn much the same way we've got over here, where the rocks are delivered to the barn first and then to the mason. I could have the cloth delivered to the barn first and then to a silo if there's any runoff. So in the case the barn is full, as it is right now, I could have the cart collect the cloth from the silo rather than the barn. So I'm never touching this stockpile of cloth, which I want to keep for building purposes. But for now, that should be good enough. And now we need to do much the same down here. Now, I haven't really left myself enough space for that, which is a bit of a pain. One thing we can do with that, actually, if we want to move this around, we can rotate that, leave that there, and then have this gather items out of the barn like so. And in fact, just deliver straight into the barn like that. There we go. And that keeps it nice and neat at the back. And I think we'll do that with all of these. In fact, there we go. And then much the same. There we are. Nice and hidden at the back there, so it looks lovely at the front. We want grabbers once again. And again, in all of these cases, we know exactly what's there, but I still stress that I think it just saves any potential mishaps later on to really be explicit about what you expect a grabber to grab. Because if it can at any point thwart your efforts, it will. Trust me on this. Right, we don't need you then anymore, so you can move. There we are. And we don't need this one there either, so that can move. So there we go. We're starting to get much, much better now. It's becoming much cleaner around here. Now, we've currently got this wagon moving conveyor belts. Let me just make sure that I do have enough conveyor belts in there. Yeah, I've got 18. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and set up much the same back here. So once more, we'll just deliver that in. And this way, we've got all of this automated with pretty much just the people that we need to run the factories. We have still got the wagons delivering the individual materials to the workshop as and when we have an overflow, but other than that, it's actually pretty good. Let's make sure that this one peels off just a little bit earlier. That way we can once again have the bricks delivered specifically. And with that, we've got cloth conveyor belts and indeed our whole industrial production as it stands already dealt with. That's marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. Now that's going to continue to happily build up conveyor belts for quite some time. Now with conveyors, I strongly recommend you allow them to accumulate in large numbers, because it's more a case that with some things, if you don't have enough, it's just a minor inconvenience. If you don't have enough conveyors for what you're building with, oh, that's so frustrating. It is probably one of the most frustrating things you will encounter, or at least it's certainly the most frustrating thing I tend to encounter. Right, let's bring this over. In fact, we can probably have this little road run down there. There we go, and then it can hook up to this, and then head into the main town there, and we'll just run the border up to about there. That's the length that we'll go to there. So I'm fairly happy with how we've set all of that up. Now we could do a little bit more with our lumber industry over here if we particularly wanted to, and maybe we will. But you may have noticed that we also unlocked a kitchen, and that is going to be a pretty big thing for us. Now, in terms of what we want to research next, we could go for boat building, because that will unlock fishing, and actually building a fishery itself. We could get railways, though realistically building the rail is going to require probably a little bit more than we've got right now. I think machinery is really where it's going to be at. We want machinery. Then I'm going to say I would like to go for steam power, and then railways. And finally, once we have that, steam locomotives. I'm a little bit surprised that it's going to be that quick to get to the locomotives, but I'm definitely happy about it. I'm certainly not going to complain. Right, okay, so with that being brought in, I think the next thing that we're probably going to want to grab is metalworking. Right now, we seem to be doing okay. We're definitely increasing our money and red coins as well. I don't see a reason to push this much further than we've already got it moving. There are a few things that we could do, perhaps. Specifically down here, well, actually, you know what? Sure, we will make sure to use... to improve this area just a little bit, so that we're not having to have wagons moving back and forth continuously. Let's, in fact, move these wagons out. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of available population right now, and I'm liking that quite a lot. You can move back to the base. Let's have a look at the base. The base is filling up with lots of random bits and bobs that I'm not as happy with, but we'll see how that goes. Now, you can probably already guess from the place I'm placing the streets what I intend to do here. But for those of you who haven't, we are in fact going to move all of these buildings one step forward, and then we'll have the chute just kind of peel off a little bit using pushers. In fact, at this point, we could easily move the barn across, and I think I'll go ahead and do that. Now, you've just seen me set that up over there, so you don't need to watch me do that again. So I'll bring you back in just a moment when I've tidied this little area up a bit, and we are ready to look at the potential of forging our first iron bars. And welcome back. As you can see, we have set up all of the facilities on the same side of the street. And in fact, I've gone ahead and I've redecorated a little bit to make things stand out. But as I mentioned, the logs are now being delivered first come, first serve sort of thing, rather than from the rear of the queue all the way back. We first deliver to the barn for actual log storage, then to plank production, then to pipe production, and finally, now that we're also using a well, to paper production, which is automatically delivered to the school. So that made that much, much nicer. I think you can agree. And as you can see down here, and you'll probably have seen from a little transition as well, we have got some stone paving so that the wagons moving to and from the farm move a little bit faster. But all the way over here, this is where we find out who was paying attention and also who commented before waiting to see the end of the video. Don't worry, I did catch it out. I'd just mentioned cloth conveyors, so that was stuck in my head, so I clicked on the thing I just said rather than what I meant to, and that is of course bricks. We are no longer waiting for cloth conveyors to be delivered, so that has fixed that up as well. So all things said and done, pretty happy to see things are moving forward as they need to. Now, with all of that sorted, I think it is time for us to go ahead and set up some smelting. Now, the thing with smelting is we're going to need two separate products. We're going to need coal and we're going to need iron. We've only got small coal deposits here, but we've got some sizable and fairly impressive deposits over here, actually. We might even be able to set up a little bit of a manufactory down here and perhaps connect it by road so it looks like people can get over there. And maybe we'll build our houses along here, because of course we're going to want some homes over here in the industrial town. That's definitely something we're going to need. Right now we're doing quite well thanks to the improvements on automation with our population, but that's not going to carry us for forever. Right, so the first thing we're going to really want to do is to make iron plates, as they are going to be a specifically important thing. We're going to need iron plates to continue upgrading the base. And we will probably, I think, iron plates are the next thing we're going to need for the houses. I can't remember, and I don't want to upgrade those unnecessarily. But let's start work with the foundry then. So we're going to need a forge. Sorry, forge, not foundry. We'll go ahead and we'll pop that one in right about here, I think. There we go. New structure unlocked. Lamppost. Fantastic. Now, what do we require? We're just going to need some fuel. Now, that can be trees, by the way, so you don't actually need to use coal if you don't want to. Actually, given that, thinking about it, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't do that. Coal, of course, is twice as effective as wood. Wood is twice as effective as fertilizer, because you can just burn your animal poop if you really want to. And coal is half as effective as a bucket of magma. Fair enough, I suppose. But we could, if we wanted to, set something up over here. Now, this is more or less running at full bore, but we could have a little forestry set up around here to deliver a renewable fuel source to an iron deposit. I think that would actually work out really, really well. I hadn't planned on that, but I think that would be a fantastic way of doing it. So let's go ahead and set up the forge right there. Now, the forge can produce two items. And in reality, you kind of want both of them. You're going to need nails and you're going to need to have plates as well. So let's go ahead and plan for that and build two barns. So one there and one there. And of course, hook all of these up with road so it looks nice. There we go. Now, the way that we're going to deliver all of this in here. Now, we could just have the wood stacked in there. And I would like that. I certainly would. Actually, let's set these up first and foremost. Let's set this one up for plates, iron plates there, and this one can be for nails. And before I forget about it, because you know it would happen if I don't do this right now. If I don't set up the grabbers right now, I am going to forget, and then later on, you're all going to laugh at me when I set the wrong one up to deliver. So I'll try to deliver nails to the iron plate barn. You know it's going to happen. And don't even pretend that you wouldn't laugh at me, because you would. Let's set this one up for iron plates. Oh, almost made a mistake. All right, there we go. And nails. There we are, perfect. Now, the thing is, we need two separate things delivered here. Fuel and, of course, ore. Now, the ore is not renewable, but that is an absolutely enormous site of ore, so we shouldn't have too much trouble there. How about, though, we deliver the logs from over here? Now, we are probably going to want to try and elevate these logs. What I'm thinking is if we head down here, I'll quickly demonstrate. We're going to want both of these items to be delivered on the same point. So we'll have, for example, the iron coming through there, but we will then want the logs for the fuel to be delivered above it. Something like that. Now, to set this up, now that is new. That is very new. Automatically placing a grabber because I built something heading out of the, like I dragged something out of the workshop where there wasn't a front door. That's actually pretty cool. I like that. That'll be a bit of a labor-saving device. But if we can get that so that we can deliver on that level, it would be ideal. To that end, now I don't know if a forester can be built up, but let's see if we can try. If I just elevate a forester, something like this. In fact, actually for such a large structure, let's go with some stonework there. Now, can I build a forestry on top of that? If I can, then that's going to be perfect. It looks like I can. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So I'll plonk that there. There we go. So this should be setting out the logs at the right elevation for us. So I'm not going to have to shimmy around because, of course, the chutes are gravity fed. So I wouldn't, if I built the forester down one tile, then I wouldn't be able to get the logs up onto that chute without the use of a conveyor belt. Now I could, but the conveyor belt is actually slower than the chutes. So wherever possible, don't use conveyor belts and chutes in combination. Not until you get some of the later conveyor belts at the very least. Right, so we're going to want to bring this out to around here, I'm going to say. And then we'll bring this right down. Now, at this point, yeah, you know what? Sure, we'll just build it out like this. That should be fine. And then we can just hook up over there. There we go. We will build a different type of block over these. We'll have a full block. There we are, all the way across. Bump. There we go. And that should be good. Now, you can get some really nice looks with this. If you're willing to spend the time to do it, you can make these things look really nice. One of the things I most commonly do is alternate the archway blocks, the wooden arch, and the pillar scaffold with just the scaffold bricks without anything below it. And it creates a nice effect, I think. You don't have to, of course, if you just want to get the goods from where they're being made to where they're needed, you can just go with whatever you want. In fact, you can just use just the plain old scaffold block. But I do think it's actually quite nice when you take the time to make things look pretty if you have the means to. There we are. And that should work pretty marvelously. We don't... Oh, actually, no. Well, no, we don't need the grabber there. This should just pull this out as is. Because we're taking it from the front door. Is that going to work? It can't say any logs. Does it not recognize the logs because they're on the lower level? Oh, that would be a shame if that were the case. But it's quite... Ah, it does. Wow, that's a bit of a shame. Okay then, well, we're going to have to go with the conveyor method then. That's a bit of a potch, but oh well. The way you can sort that out is you just have a conveyor drawing the logs out, and then they deposit them onto the chute. There we go. It isn't too much of a problem, but it does slow things down a little bit. You may notice the difference with the... Oh, actually, they're coming at a reasonable pace. Mind you, if you had more workers in them, it might adjust it a little bit. But the cloth conveyors, yeah, you can see the large gap between them there compared to these ones. It might not be very clear, but there is definitely a difference between the speed that these are moving on the chute versus these ones. There we go. But anyway, let's go ahead and set up some miners. There we are. We'll deliver this around here. That should be fine. We'll have you guys grab from there, you guys grab from here and deliver there, and we should be good to go. Now then, what we would like to do is to produce iron plates and then nails. Now, bearing in mind that nails require less resources than iron plates, so you do need to make sure that you're bringing in enough to satisfy both of them. Otherwise, you'll mostly produce nails initially. But there we go. That's actually working reasonably well, and our miners are already getting that all sorted. So that was actually fairly quick and easy to get going, and we have got enough iron there to last us an obnoxiously long time. We're not going to have to worry about this for a while, not until we want to increase the production speed of our iron. Like, this is enough for us to stockpile iron plates and nails for the foreseeable future. But later on, we're going to want a lot more production of iron plates. So we're probably going to set up secondary and maybe even tertiary smelting areas. So with the iron industry on the way, we're already starting now to build up iron plates. We will, again, be able to upgrade our base a little further. Now, what do we want to do with these items? Currently, we are presently researching machinery. Now, that isn't going super fast because building up these writing supplies, that takes time, and we're only delivering 1 paper, and we need 8. Maybe now is a good time for us to consider making books, and I think that actually would be a really, really good move. Let's have a think. We could set up a little bit of something down here just to bind the books in this location before moving it on, though it would necessitate delivering the supplies to the school. I think we can do that. Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to need for leather then? Well, first and foremost, we will need a pasture. Let's work backwards. So we'll just build the building and then we'll move it to where we want it to be. What do we require for leather? We can get leather and fertilizer for 4 animal feed. That's actually quite a lot of animal feed, and 4 water, and 2 yellow coins. So it's not a cheap production. We'll do that every 8 seconds, so we'll need 2 animal feed every 4 seconds, or 1 animal feed every 2 seconds. Let's go ahead and build a grain mill. Let's have a look at you. Animal feed, we can make 1 every 2 seconds in exchange for 2 wheat. And if we then build a farm, there we go. The entire process is complete. 1 grain every 2 seconds, so we'll want 2 people working at this farm to produce the grain that we're going to need to completely produce all of the leather that we want. But at that point, we're going to want to deliver it to a workshop because we're going to have to manufacture the books. So let's go ahead and get a workshop up and running. Now the workshop will need 1 leather and 4 paper for each book. So we're actually not going to need that much leather. That being said, I believe the leather here is made at a rate of 1 every 8 seconds. So we will actually be bottlenecking on the leather. It takes a 5 seconds and 4 paper. How fast do we make the paper? We make 1 paper every 4 seconds. So actually, no, we are definitely going to be bottlenecking on the paper there, I fear. So given that, I'm actually thinking we're going to want to pop down a second forester so that this is running about as fast as we can possibly get it to run. We might even want more paper production than this. But let's start with the forestry. Let's go ahead and pop you in there. We're simply going to rebuild our original setup. We'll get rid of that grabber. It's not necessary. Actually, no, that is a lie. It is absolutely necessary because I had that pointing the wrong way. We'll pop in wood and we'll add in an extra peep if we get the chance. And there we go. We have reached the point now where we need more homes. Now, the homes I would like to start building over here and actually start setting up a little area. Now, we're not necessarily going to have access to food to bring over here. I will set up a little bit of something, but it's not going to be a very expansive setup initially. But let's go ahead and we're going to have to pull out some of these resources, I think. That being said, we could maybe set something up over the top of this little pond here, and we can easily get some fish. So perhaps we could set up, we could either have the housing right here or kind of spread across. You know what? This little hill may be quite nice if we just lower it, just the peak of the hill down, and then we can have all of our markets and such up here. I think that might be quite nice. We'll remove the grain. The grain is not important. We're not going to remove the earth stones. Those are very, very important items that I would rather preserve for the time being. So let's start off with a couple of homes. We'll have just a few of them together. Maybe a little marketplace, a little market square in the middle, something around here maybe. And we'll have, how many more homes have we got? We've got 2 more homes. Let's give 3. So we'll have that one there. Now I did notice that our base has already is ready for an upgrade, so we may look to do that. And you know, this little area, I feel they are going to have some cobbled streets. Yeah, something really fancy. And to add to the effect, even though it's not going to be doing anything, it is purely for decoration, we're going to add a little well in the middle of that square there. That is going to be the beginning of our new town. Now we're going to obviously set up a little bit of food delivery just for the beginning, because I don't want to just leave them there being hungry. That would be awful. How many fish are around here? We've actually got quite a lot of fish. We could probably get by with just a little bit of fishing happening over here. And for this, we're going to set up a little pier, I think. Let's go ahead and set that up. We'll have a little wooden bridge, something nice. There we go. And with that, we should be able to access the fish here fairly easily. Oh dear, there may have actually been fish there as well, but I didn't quite see it properly. It does look like we just built over it. That's a bit of a shame, but oh well. Accidents happen. We'll build this out a little bit more, make it look proper like. There we are. And once again, we're going to want a crate. Now, we do have the means to start building silos. I'll leave that for the next episode where we start setting that up. For the time being, we'll just go with the good old crate cart combo. I think that'll be fine. And we'll have that being delivered over then to the marketplace up here somewhere. There we go. It'll be a fairly humble diet of just fish for the time being, but we will eventually build up to a couple more. We've even got pear trees around here, and so it makes sense to me if they had some fruit in their diet as well. We could set up some peeps just to harvest that, because we could later on put down pear trees ourselves. But that being said, right now we don't easily have the means of doing it. It costs metal to build a tree planter, and that's a rather expensive thing. It costs 2 iron plates. I mean, I guess we're probably starting to stockpile it. I guess we could, I suppose. What we could do then is we could even have this one have a couple of pear trees. So it would have some lumber and also a little pear orchard. You know what? I'm liking this little idea. I'm liking it a lot, in fact. But let's get down the wagon before we do anything else. There we go. Where are we going to place the food market? Let's have the food market just in the middle of the market square. Sure. We'll have a little bit more room for it out the front. There we go. Have a proper little address there so they can duck into the market there. We'll bring fish all the way over to the food market, and it's going to be absolutely lovely. I will not put any tiles there. I know it's going to slow it down a little bit, but I think it looks quite nice with that. Now, over here, we can actually deliver oh, no, we don't want to encourage you to place down a grab just yet. But we can deliver the pears directly. Let's make sure that we are only going to grab pears, and at this point we are actually going to need to set this up to only grab logs, otherwise it'll try to pull the pears out of that point as well. It does get a little bit more complicated when you have a building grabbing more than one item, or producing more than one item. Let's go for pears. There we go. We could perhaps set up apples as well if we really wanted to, and maybe we do. Maybe that would allow us to produce 2 items, so 1 fruit a second that way if we had both apples and pears, though it will be slightly less efficient simply because we'll be producing more than 1 item in this place. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe we can make this allow item types. Let's have a look. fruit satisfaction category. Maybe that would work. So if I set that to all types of fruit, we may actually, that might actually allow us to pull out both apples and pears directly. That would be rather awesome, I must say. Right, okay, let's go ahead with the tree planters. This is going to be costly, but oh well. Let's go ahead with a couple of trees on either side. Now, unfortunately, we can't easily place them down there, so we'll have to just have them dotted around on this side. We'll have, well, in fact, we could probably just do the same on each side just to have a pretty pattern. That seems reasonable to me. In farming, we then want plant apple trees. Now, these are expensive things to plant. And then, finally, we will plant pear trees as well. And that will be quite lovely. There we go. Now, it's going to be a little while before we see if this works. I don't know if it'll work because of the satisfaction category. But I'm going to hope that it does, and we'll just see how that one plays out. I'm also going to add one extra person to work here because we're going to be asking a lot from this one building. So hopefully that will help. Now, these homes can't yet use fruit, I don't think. Nor can they, in fact, use fish. Oh, they can use fruit. But we desperately want them to use fish, so let's go ahead and upgrade. We didn't build that pier for nothing. And there we go. We are actually using the fish there. I'm not going to upgrade them all. I'll upgrade some of them. In fact, we'll upgrade this little one. In fact, these two in the middle there on the square. Now, that actually looks nice. We've got a lot. We've got over 20 people now available to us. So it's going to take a little while, but we're going to allow the peeps here to enjoy themselves. Now, this one cart is not able to bring along that much in terms of fish, but hopefully it'll be enough as we go forward, because every time it's grabbing 4. We may add a second one just to make that trip a little bit easier, though. Let's bring this road down here, of course. There we go. And we'll grab a second wagon just to make sure that we're bringing plenty of fish over there. Get those omega-3 oils. There we are. Okay. Enjoy. But now with that, I'm actually reasonably happy. We can get back to building our bookbinding industry. Now, again, as I was saying, we're going to need to move the school. And so it does mean that we're going to have to be wagoning some things to the school. But for now, it should be okay. Right. Where are we going to place the... Well, ultimately, what we want is for the workshop to be here. And maybe... I wouldn't mind delivering the books to a barn. But I guess for now, it will be enough. The thing with this is that if I could have all of this industry kind of in line, then I could have runoff of books. Like if a book wasn't used by the school, then I could sell it. But realistically, at the moment, we're not going to be producing enough books for the speed that the school is going to want to consume them. So that's not really something we need to worry about. So for the time being, we should be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break this. I know, it's terrible. I agree. We're going to break the connection there and we're going to set up this workshop to make books. Now it is going to wait until leather is delivered. The leather shall be delivered over here. We'll go ahead and, well, I could have the Pasture gather its water automatically, or I could feed it from the well over there. How much does it require again? Let's have a quick look. How much water did it need for leather? It needs 1 every 2 seconds, which is what the mill the well already produces, and that's already feeding the lumber mill, so we will avoid that one for now. Instead, I'll have the leather delivered down here. Now, leather specifically, I would like brought out. So let's start off with a grabber. So pop you in there, and I want this one set up to bringing out leather. There we go. And then with that in place, I can now build without worry that I'll grab the wrong thing. So this one needs to be set up for producing leather. It will also produce some fertilizer, which I can then feed to the farm, which shouldn't be much of a problem for us. Let's get this down here. There we go. That can deliver straight in. There we are. So this is now just waiting for some wheat, and we can deliver the wheat over here, like so. It's at this point that actually that I'm starting to think that maybe I should have had a little well deliver water to the pasture, because I could have also had it delivered to the farm. But honestly, having both fertilizer and water is somewhat unnecessary. I could build out a little surface here, but I wouldn't have much room to build the actual field. So we'll probably go without that. But we will deliver the fertilizer right there. Once again, going to need a grabber though for that. And again, building it so that it's facing the wrong way initially, just so that I can set the fertilizer before I rotate it the correct direction. There we go. Right, and I would like you very much to start delivering grain. Now we need to build some farm tiles for that, obviously. So place these down. Now we're not going to need much for this little area. Let's have 2 fields of 6. That should be more than enough. In fact, something like this would do plenty, and it will also make it look reasonably nice out there, I think. There we are, and we'll pop down the grain, page up to increase the size of the brush. There we go. And with that, we can tell this to supply, well, water and fertilizer. We will go ahead and build a well, just for the sake of getting everything moving as quickly as it can. Again, because the well doesn't require anyone working it, it's literally just the cost of stone to build the well, and the wood, obviously, to build the pipes as well. So it's not difficult at all. Let's go ahead and connect that up. There we go. And that should get all of this growing very, very nicely. And as soon as that's running, we'll start delivering leather and fertilizer where it needs to go. And we can have the school just built down here. We can go back to having a wagon deliver the books across to the school. And I think that will be marvellous. There we go. And you can grab the books. There we are. We've upgraded. It's fantastic. No longer are they just scrawling on vellum. They're going to have perfectly bound books. It's going to be marvellous. There we are. Now we're waiting for our first production. Of course, it does take a while, which is a bit of a pain. But there you can see that the speed, that really illustrates the difference in speed of the cloth conveyor versus the fertilizer. But there we are. Our first book has been delivered. That's absolutely marvelous. Now, they don't just use up a book, even though they only need 8 writing materials. They'll use a whole book, which is worth 10. It does kind of get stored up. So every so many books that get used, they'll effectively get 1 cycle through that as well. And it looks like we're actually keeping up with the consumption of the books as well, because it takes 10 seconds to deliver one, which is actually pretty nice. How many books have you got? You've just got 1, right? Okay, well, that's working quite nicely. And I think that's where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We've done quite well, I think. We've expanded out our industrial area quite substantially down here. We've added metallurgy as well. So we are now actually producing both iron plate and nails. We're producing cloth. We're producing cloth conveyors. And with that, we have drastically improved the automation around our town. But we also have a little area down here as well. Have we started stockpiling? Oh, I didn't actually tell them to grab the apple or the pears, did I? No, I didn't. There we go. Yes, it actually grabs either or. Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I approve enormously. So this little industrial town, as much as I thought it's just going to be just a cluster of houses, they're going to have to do without the luxuries of life for a little while we build up the infrastructure. They're actually eating quite well. They've got fish. They've got a variety of fruit. In fact, they've got more of a variety of fruit than our population of Old Town have, in fact, which is actually pretty interesting. But with that, I am afraid we really have run out of time. So until next time, and as always, to take care.